Welcome back to Morning Live. Now, Kenya has recorded a rise in cases of teenage pregnancy prevalence in the country, sparking a debate on the causes and measures that should be taken to curb it. The growing teenage pregnancy prevalence in the country poses the risk of adolescent girls not being able to complete their education and increases the risk of acquiring HIV and AIDS. Now, according to a report released by Kenya Demographic and Health Survey, Turkana County tops the list at 40%, followed closely by Homa Bay County at 33%. The report further states that 13,000 teenage girls drop out of school every year due to pregnancy. Only 50% of adolescents transition to secondary school, with high dropout rates, particularly among girls. Of course, right now in studio, I'm joined by Dorcas Samolo, Chief of Party, the MWENDO program by CRS. She will be talking to us about all these issues and, of course, now filling in the gaps, because also we have a problem. Where are the parents? Where are the people to talk to these young girls? Where are people to actually now guide them, be the destiny shapers, and actually bring them to some sanity of some sort? And, of course, the end product will be success. Good morning, Dorcas.
Good morning, Nick.
And welcome.
Thank you very much.
All right. From what we've read, it's unfortunate. Even the figures themselves actually kind of depict some unfortunate situation as far as our young girls are concerned. Now, maybe you can tell us about the MWENDO program, just to elaborate for us before now we continue this conversation. Okay.
MWENDO is an acronym. MWENDO stands for Making Well-Informed Efforts to nurture disadvantaged orphans and vulnerable children.
Okay.
So we focus mainly on orphans and vulnerable children. MWENDO is a CRS project that is funded through USAID.
That's Catholic
Relief Services. Sorry.
Sure.
Yeah, funded through by USAID through PEFA, which is a Presidential Emergency Fund for AIDS relief.
All right.
So MWENDO started in the year 2017, and normally these projects run for about 5 years. So we are working in 13 counties of Kenya. We are working in Homa Bay, Migori, Siaya, Kisumu. That's in the Nyanza region. And then in the western region, we also work in the 4 counties, which is Vihiga, Kakamega, Busia, and Bungoma. And then we cross to the North Rift, where we cover Nandi, Uasin Gishu, and Trans Nzoia. So we are working in 13 counties. And mainly MWENDO has 3 objectives. One of the first objective is increasing access to health and social services for these for the orphans and vulnerable children and their families, because we target them through their families. And then the second objective is strengthening households, which is the caregivers, the households and the communities, to be able to protect and care for their children. And the third one is where we strengthen the child welfare systems and structures in the counties, also to be able to respond to the needs of these children. So that's MWENDO, and MWENDO has different interventions that we have in place to be able to improve the well-being of these children and get them to a level where they can be able to explore their potential. And so parenting is one of those interventions that we do, and we call it positive parenting, in addition to other activities that we do. Given, I've told you that this is funded through the Presidential Emergency Fund for AIDS relief, and so it means also that our focus is on HIV and AIDS. So we look at HIV and AIDS, but also the same behaviors that would expose a girl or a teenager, both a boy or girl, to HIV are the same behaviors that would also expose them to the risk of pregnancy.
Now let's talk about parenting. As much as there's a gap with the statistics you've mentioned now, even the age group, what are you doing to equip guardians and even the parents with skills and just the strategy on how to now manage these young people?
Yes, so when we started, we looked around to identify a good model that has been used, within the country.
Okay.
And we found some, of course, good models, but we ended up with one that is being used in South Africa. It was used in South Africa first, and it has been also used in other African countries,
Okay,
and it has shown evidence. It's an evidence-based intervention in the sense that it's been tested and it works.
Yes.
So we didn't want to start testing, and because we know the magnitude of the problem that we have, we needed something that we could roll out quickly.
Sure.
But before rolling it out, we needed to adapt it to our situation, our circumstances, and the context within which we are working. So as a program, the focus is on HIV and AIDS. So we needed to improve it. So what we are using is an enhanced HIV version. The other one also had HIV information and the other things, but what it didn't have was disclosure. And this is a problem that the youth have. This group of children, 10 to 17, have when they are exposed to HIV. Disclosure becomes a very big problem to the caregivers. In addition to that, we also have focused on pregnancy because of the high rates of pregnancy in the country. So we realized that working with caregivers and empowering them, strengthening their ability to be able to nurture and protect these children was the best way to deal with this, social these social ills that affect our children. It also improves discipline, So so during the adaptation of this, we looked at all these areas, and then we developed something that is suitable for us. And so this is a process where you train our experts have been able to train TOTs. We are trainers of trainers, and so these trainers of trainers then train facilitators and coaches. The coaches support the facilitators when they are in sessions. The facilitators are from the community level, and they are actually those that we are currently working with. We work through local implementing partners, national NGOs, and community-based organizations on the ground. And so they have recruited volunteers. We call them community health volunteers. These are people who have been picked, or rather selected by their communities to help work with those vulnerable families. So we train them. If there's anything for them to distribute, if there's any education that needs to be provided to these households, they are the ones who do it. They walk to these households. They are people that live within the community. So they could be meeting them. The people that they know, they could meet them at the marketplace, but they also organize to visit them at the household so that they get to really see what happens. So
Sure. Just continue.
So the caregivers are brought together in sessions. So a caregiver plus a teenager. They come with their teenagers, so they come in pairs. If in a household they have a caregiver has more than one teenager, the household will decide on which one, together as a household, they decide we will send so and so because he's a firstborn, or we'll send mom, you can go, or dad, you can go with maybe the younger one, but they agree on who they want to send. So in these sessions, as they go in pairs, we have a session of 14. We have 14 sessions that they do, which takes about 3 months. Because they meet every week, and as they go through these discussions, they are done through role plays, and these role plays then elicit discussions. And when they go home after those sessions, they are given homework. So the young person has homework to pass whatever they were taught to the other kids, but also to practice. The parents are also given homework to practice. If it was about quality time with their children, then when they come back, they'll be asked how it went. So
that's where you're focusing on the relations.
That's where we focus on the relations
between the parents and the kids now.
The relations of the parents and the kids. They also talk about discipline, positive discipline, where there are other alternative ways of disciplining a child. You don't need to cane a child. and particularly teenagers, you know, it can become very, very difficult, you know, for caregivers.
Yes, true, yes.
So they learn about discipline, they learn about, you know, the caregivers are taught to appreciate their and praise them, because most caregivers do not think that a child needs to be praised.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, they're supposed to do it, so, you know, just do it. You've done it very good. You know, they might say good, but not, you know, Yeah.
Now, the challenges, you know, when you deal with these young characters, sometimes it's so difficult to now mobilize them as a unit, because now you have to, like, maybe physically go make follow-ups. Maybe you can give us the challenges you've had so far before we now talk about the success stories.
In following up these children?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because these are families that we have targeted to work with, because they are vulnerable.
Okay.
It's not just everybody that we go to. So we are targeting 326,000 children by the end of the 5 years, which is in 2022.
Okay.
Currently, we are working with 302,000 children, about 154,000 households within these counties. And so these are the households that we are targeting. However, when we target schools, because and you told me not to jump into the you know, successes. But one of the success stories is that some schools, within the 5 years that we've been working, some schools have asked that we have the meetings in schools as part of their clubs.
Nice.
So that the other children can also participate. And these are mostly schools where we have a large number of our children, you know, attending. So we agree to request the caregivers to go and attend those meetings together with the other caregivers, and our facilitators go to these these schools. So in mobilizing the children, it's not difficult, because we are already targeting them with a number of things. We support them with you know, not all the families, but we do an assessment and identify what needs they have. Those that need school fees, we have provided school fees.
So just hold it right there before I actually proceed, but taking a short break. When you come back, now I want to also talk, she'll continue with the conversation, but now also focus on the boys, because when you talk about teenage pregnancies, not only the girls are involved here, the boys are very integral here, because now these are people who really need to be talked to so much, so that at least the girl child might feel safe in the specific environment. All that's coming to you after a short break. Welcome back to Morning Live. Yes, very interesting topic, just touching on the boy child and the girl child also. And this is just among the problems you're facing in this country, whereby now the young girls are being exposed at a very early age to so many vices in society. And of course, we will just want to touch base on that. Now, continuing with our conversation, when you look at communication, we have been having a problem where when some of us were growing up, it was a taboo for parents to talk to you about sexual health, sexual situation, just surrounding you as an adolescent. Now, are things changing? And maybe the success stories, is it among your success stories? Because now parents, very key now, because now they spend more time with the kids. Now, how do you manage to assess this? And do you think things are changing so far?
Yeah, given the group of parents that we are working with, and this, we have just started doing this in the actual implementation, because it's a process before you start the actual implementation. So the actual implementation started 5 months ago, and we've seen quite an improvement. We have seen parents being able to communicate openly with their children, which is what has been missing, and parents also giving quality time to their children. And quality time does not mean that you sit like we are sitting now and start talking with your kid, you know, like, you know, you don't have to. You could be doing, you know, some household chore together, and talking. You could be washing dishes with your daughter, or you could be, you know, outside there with your son, you know, preparing the compound, cleaning the compound, and talking, and sharing, and creating an environment where they can be able to openly communicate with you. I know when we were growing up, there was that, you know, barrier.
Yes.
You know, there was
Big
a limit
time.
to what
Yeah.
you
It's
could
still
you
there,
could share
actually.
with
Yeah.
you could share with your parents. So the old school, you know, requires that, you know, when you're told do this, you do
Yeah.
it, do that, you do
Yeah.
it. You're supposed to respond.
Yeah.
Here, there's responsibility for both the parent and the child. So this model is more is preventive, but it's also responsive.
Sure.
So we each have roles. The parents have roles, and the children also have roles. And it also touches on you know, sharing and engaging with your child regularly. The child being able, you know, to share with you their fears, dealing with emotions, because at that age they have, you know, emotional issues also.
Absolutely. They're growing up, so things are changing
up
in their bodies also. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And they tend to close up.
Yeah.
So if they trust you, they will share with you. But you have to create this environment, you know, where they can be able to feel free to talk to you without feeling that they're going to be judged. But also, parents also, as parents keep changing in this program, we also encourage the child to change and to tell the other children in the household that mommy or daddy has changed. Let's also change, you know, because we've realized through this the sessions that we've had that parents' issues, you know, are really the teenage children. Some parents have expressed that their stress comes from this group of children.
Wow.
And because the parents are also working hard to try and fend for the children. At the same time, when they get back home, the kids are not doing what they expect them to do. They are worried. They are worried that their sons would get into wrong groups. They would be influenced to start to get into you know, different, you know, those negative behaviors, and for the girls too. So it really stresses parents at this age, and especially if you're going through it for the first time, it becomes quite a big
controlling them is very difficult.
Controlling them is very difficult. That's the point where you can lose your child. That's the point where the child might just decide that to close up and does not talk to you.
Just leave.
And leave.
Now, we've touched so much on pregnancy, and you see, when you talk to a young person, they fear pregnancy more than HIV and AIDS, which is very, very absurd and mind-boggling also. Maybe you can talk to us about now the awareness and the strategy to make sure actually these people are not so much inclined also in pregnancy.
Yes, so this program, the model I told you talks about, you know, we have 14 sessions. Our focus as a project is on HIV and AIDS. And of course, if a child is exposed to pregnancy, it means they're also exposed to HIV and AIDS. And so what we do as a program is we do prevention. We talk about prevention. We then encourage testing. We do testing, we refer for testing. And then we also refer for treatment, and then we support them. So in terms of prevention, we do we promote abstinence. So we give them education that will help them, you know, abstain, and then we also encourage them to know their status, which is the testing, and of course then relevant education that helps them, you know, avoid this the adverse you know, health outcomes and health and social outcomes. So for us, HIV is really core to what we do. And so as we train we educate the parents, and we educate them together with the teenagers, because these sessions are run with both of them. You know, they come in pairs. They then go back home and train the other kids that were not able to participate in these sessions.
Now, even as we're talking about the acceptance modules, whereby even parents are involved in this now, do you even like equip parents with the continuity of this process? Because at the end of the day, you want to be with the kids for forever in this situation, like for quite some time now. The parents who have this situation whereby they can actually now tell their own children that indeed this is a continuation of what we started. How have you managed that? Because it also involves consistency and follow-ups with the parents.
Yes, it does, and like I said, these projects are they don't go on forever. So in the communities, we are also identifying other organizations or other support groups that are ongoing that may continue on for a longer time. Like we have support groups that are formed through the facilities, through the health centers. We have other partners of USAID that are also implementing at the facility, you know, that support treatment. And so they have those support groups at those facilities. So we are trying to, our plan is to ride on these sessions on those support groups, because these support groups have been known to continue on and on because of the benefits that they give the people that are living with HIV and AIDS. But also we have we call them groups, savings and loaning groups. We call them, for us, we call them silk groups. So those groups also that we form at the community level to help the households be able to generate enough income for themselves, because at the end of the day it's about really income. If the households have enough income, they'll be able to take their children to school, they'll be able to provide the necessities, and somehow the stress is lessened. And so through these groups that we are formed in the communities, we want now to ride this on these groups, because it's the same caregivers that attend these groups, even though it is open for others who are not targeted by the project, because it's a community thing. Then they can continue doing this within the community even later when this is gone, and other children can also benefit. So it continues even after the project is ended. These kids perhaps grow up, or maybe caregiver now does not attend these groups or doesn't do it with us, but they then the facilitators are in the community. The coaches are also within the community, so they can continue facilitating this at those other groups. They don't necessarily have to wait for groups that are organized through us.
Now, have you ever had a case whereby you've received a rogue situation whereby it's so hard for you to now make a change, whereby now this young man has maybe fallen out with the parents, or the young lady has fallen out with the parents? Now you're trying to bring this harmony once again. You're trying to include the parent even to now kind of have this one-on-one with the kid. Have you ever had this situation, and how maybe have you tried to maybe now sort out that issue? Because at the end of the day, as you said, the new parents, when are starting to learn these drills, are kind of losing touch with their kids. Have you ever tried to now bring them together, and now maybe once they leave your territory, it becomes kind of a success story?
Well, you know, within the groups, with those that may become, they may not have been willing, you know, initially, or they may not know what this is all about. So when they come with their parents, we talk to them, and currently there are some counties that have already finished those 14 sessions. So by the time they finish the 14 sessions, both the parent, the caregiver, and the teenager will experience some change. There will definitely be some change, because it's an open forum where they also discuss with others, not just them. There are other teenagers also, and they share their issues, they share their problems. In some of those sessions, we even had parents break down and say, "Oh, I was doing it all wrong. I thought the child was the one who was wrong." And so it's just an eye-opener for both of them. And of course, like you say, there would be those those situations where children are difficult, and we also follow them up to the household. You know, that would now be a one-on-one, you know, where the community health workers, and maybe even with the coaches and facilitators, would follow at the household level, and now have discussions. We also have counselings. Counseling is part of you know, psychosocial support which we provide at the household level, and where we realize that they need professional counseling, then we refer them to professionals to provide that counseling. So we determine what we can do when it becomes it gets to a level where we think it's beyond this community people to do. Then we refer them, we encourage them to refer to other professionals who can provide those services. We have not experienced since we started in the 5 months, but I know those are issues that would come up definitely. We have
county government supporting you, because now you've mentioned all those counties, and that means you have to traverse all these areas, and you see that needs kind of so much communication, some sort of planning also, and just the whole planning and everything. You have to involve the county governments, involving schools. Now, are they supporting this project?
Yes, we work with the county government. We work with the the reproductive health department of health. We also work with the Department of Children's Services. I know that the Children's Services is not devolved, but they are at the county level, and they work very closely with the counties. So we include them in our trainings. We are also seeing them as part of the sustainability, for the whole of this project, because this project deals with a lot of other things. So we have started working with them, trying to encourage them to invest also in children, and they've taken it very positively. We just finished some trainings with them. They have developed their plans on how the steps to take to be able to support, to provide support in whichever way that they should. We encourage them to also invest in children, so that they don't just leave it to external donors to do it.
So before we end up, are you happy with what's happening on the ground so far?
We are very happy with what is happening. Just for your information, we have already started experiencing successes with relation to HIV and AIDS. Now, caregivers are able, through this, these sessions that we've held with them, they are able to go and request for their own viral load, for the children's viral loads, because it's only through the viral load that you can be able to monitor whether a child is doing well, those kids who are on treatment. They are also doing better on adherence, taking their drugs, and we have already seen, suppression, viral load suppression, and when they're suppressed, then we are on the route to controlling, HIV.
Absolutely.
So
thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming. We have learned so much from the whole activity. Good job you're doing, because this is a very, very, trust me, vulnerable group, which actually are exposed to so many vices in the society. Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you very much, Switch TV.
Thank you so much. All right, just hold it right there. And of course, now we shift focus to Uganda, and so much is happening in that country now in our East African segment, where Uganda accounted for more than a quarter of the businesses actually at the port of Mombasa in 2018, pushing the total transit volumes up to 10% from 8.6 million tons in 2017 to 9.6 million tons. Now, Uganda remains a key trade partner for Kenya. Its exports and imports passing through Mombasa are increasing. The latest figures for 2018 from the Kenya Ports Authority 2017 annual performance report show that Uganda remained the leading Mombasa port user, with its import cargo rising steadily from 6.5 million tons in 2017 to 7.4 million tons of goods last year. Tea is one of the Ugandan's biggest exports now, mostly shipped to Pakistan and the United Kingdom. Let's take a listen at this phone link.
Uganda and Kenya are like siblings, and you see, with siblings, they grow together, they do stuff together, they share a lot in common, but they also get to fight. They also get to, have sibling rivalry, so to call it. So Uganda and Kenya are that way. We are like Siamese twins. We cannot separate from one another. So there's lots of stuff that we share, lots of things that we do together, trade. Uganda is a landlocked country, or to put it more optimistically, it is a land-linked country. And so if we are to export, we have got to go through Kenya. If we are to import, we go through Kenya. The other alternative route, of course, is Tanzania. It's a bit more complicated, so Kenya becomes the best alternative. And then so there's a lot that we do together. But every so often, there will be some dis-ease. For example, we had pretty much given our word to Kenya that our oil pipelines would go through Kenya, but that did not get to happen. We kind of shortchanged them, and government there was obviously not too happy. And then several other things. We have had some altercation, if you like, regarding the standard gauge railway back and forth. But the meeting between President Museveni of Uganda and President Uhuru Kenyatta, in a way, one could say, and again, we wait to see, but one could say that it helped to thaw the relationship, to try and create a bit of ease, lessen the tension, get back to the drawing board. Let's see how we can do a lot more together. And Kenya is offering that land for a port for Uganda, which is a good start, because that's what you're saying. There's still a lot that we can do together. We may not agree on literally everything, but there's a lot more that we have in common. But we are hoping that we can also get to, as the two countries establish. So what's Kenya's comparative advantage? What's Uganda's comparative advantage? What is it that Uganda does better that Kenya doesn't have to delve into? Let's produce it, you guys buy it from us, and vice versa, that there's stuff that Kenya is better at, so focus on that. Then Uganda doesn't have to focus on that, then we get to buy it from you. So it would be a good thing because, of course, Kenya's economy is bigger than Uganda's, that we can get to work together. It's just common sense anyway. Hopefully that can get to happen.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, we're now taking a short break. When you come back, you want to talk Matters Generation KE, because now Corinne Ngurukiyamu is in studio. And of course, after Lucas has left, she's now with me right here seated. And when you come back, you want to talk about the projects they've done. Trust me, they're touching lives. And of course, they are expecting Bwana Peter Akombo as the beneficiary to come in. They're doing so much as far as now trying to touch youth's lives, destiny shaping, and everything just concerning how they're trying to make their lives better. All that's coming to you after a short break. Keep it Morning Live.